Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and as always, thank you Squarespace for sponsoring this video. So I pulled out my sketchbook once more this month, and as you can see, it resulted in a bit of an accident, a very common occurrence for me, and honestly, it somehow always ends up in the exact same spot too. Like, if you've been following my channel for, I guess, several years at this point, there's like at least a couple of other videos where the ink also lands on the middle of the face, like in the worst spot possible. But as you may have seen before, I do not get discouraged by things like that because it's very easy to fix, and I'll show you how I did it in this video. Super straightforward. So I'm glad to share this particular footage with you guys because I actually went through so many iterations for one of the characters' pose that is kind of hilarious, but I think it's something that I don't often see people share online or like talk about. So I'm glad I was able to kind of capture it and like edit in all the drawings I ended up erasing, which there will be still many ahead. So basically when I started this sketchbook page, I didn't really have anything super specific in mind, but I landed on these two characters of mine. This one that I'm working on right now is called Pickle, and the other one is Pels. They're actually really, really old characters of mine, and I used to draw them all the time. And what prompted me to draw them again for the first time in many years is I was looking through my first art book called In Absentia, and there's a bunch of drawings of them in there, and as I've mentioned before, I'm planning to reprint that art book hopefully early next year when I do the Kickstarter for Gloaming Veil's first volume. Yeah, so I wanted to do a couple of new drawings to include in the second edition of In Absentia, and I thought these two would be a good subject matter. And also, this is a side note, but I've been like bombarded by targeted ads from this one clothing brand called Named Collective, and I love their stuff so much. I haven't bought anything, but I see it all the time, and I love how the clothes look, so I decided to just like look over their website, pick my favorite things, and draw them on my characters. So that's kind of where this came from. And so as you can see here, I'm drawing yet another version of Pels on the left here, and I actually do quite like this one, but as you will see shortly, I did also end up completely erasing this one as well. And the reason why, in case you're wondering, because, you know, there's nothing actually wrong with it, and I do like it when I look at it, it was kind of a mood situation where even though I like the pose and I like the face and everything, it just wasn't giving the mood that I was going for, and there was basically like no interaction between the two characters going on with these two poses, so that's the reason why I ended up ultimately erasing it. But before I did go and erase it, I decided to just ink Pels because I needed a break. And you know, sometimes when you try like a million poses and nothing is sticking, you kind of start to get tired. Like, at least to me that happens, and I always feel like I need to just like move to a different part of the process or something. And in this case, like, I wasn't 100% sure if I was gonna keep it or not, but I decided to just do something different because I did like the way Pickle was looking, so I figured I'd just go ahead and finish her first and then figure out what I'm gonna do with Pels. So that's gonna be it as far as the drawing goes for a little while, because I'm just gonna be inking away, and I'll mention anything that comes to mind about the process if something does come to mind. I did use quite a few different materials actually, so it's mostly ink, but there is quite a bit of mixed media in there as well, so I'll just like briefly mention the stuff that I will end up using. But yeah, I wanted to give you guys a quick update after my last video because I know it was a bit of a downer and I was just like in a pretty bad mood when I was doing the voiceover, but I wanted to let you guys know that I really appreciate all the comments everyone left, and I did feel a lot better afterwards. And actually, as it turns out, the tariff situation has changed once again. Surprise! I'm sure it'll happen again shortly, probably, but I'm like cautiously optimistic right now because, you know, like I mentioned in the last video, books are supposed to be exempt from tariffs anyways, and it would appear that they are once again exempt. I haven't actually done anything yet, and basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to plan a shop reopening shortly before Boxing Day, or like Black Friday is what I meant, which is supposed to be like on November 28th or something. I don't know. I'll try to aim for a little bit earlier than that, but I'm still gonna give myself like at least another week without having to deal with anything shop related because I still have whiplash from that. So I'm just gonna see what happens and check the shipping stuff again, and if nothing has changed in about a week, I will finally plan and reopen my shop in time for the Black Friday sale. So there's that. Hopefully nothing changes and everything kind of stays the same. And actually, speaking of shop, one of the reasons why I was hesitating to open it for so long is because I actually don't really have that many new things. Like usually people open or reopen their shops with a bunch of new merchandise and an update, where I really don't have that much of an update. I definitely have like at least one new print, and I already have one sticker, but you know, that doesn't sound very update worthy, honestly. I will still add those new items, but I was even thinking of maybe making this drawing into a print as well. I don't know, you guys let me know what you think about that idea. So yeah, but in any case, other than that, I don't think I did a comic update last month. I don't know if I did or not. In any case, I will briefly tell you guys the situation with the comic right now. So I did finally start working on the storyboards, and it's actually been going well. Like, I'm not very far into it, but at least like it's solid this time around, because last time I started doing the storyboards, like I didn't get very far because it was kind of just falling apart right away because I didn't have the 3D model of the house. But now that I do, it feels much more solid, so I feel like I'm on good footing. And I just like been through a bit of an ordeal recently, and I just wanted to wind down and relax the other day. And I really enjoyed the previous videos sketchbook page that I did with Heijin and the sitting on the tree, and that's why I wanted to do another sketchbook session. And honestly, this one like made me very happy. Like, I'm really glad I decided to just pull out my sketchbook and just like wind down and relax and do something with ink and just use materials that I really love. As you can see, I'm actually bringing out some washi tape here. I decided to turn it into a bit of a collage as well, which is great because, you know, I don't often get very experimental with stuff, but for whatever reason, I was in the mood to just like change things around, change the pose a million times, just go completely out of order in the process of inking. And yeah, it turned out like a very cathartic experience. Before I continue, let me tell you about my sponsor, Squarespace. As a full-time professional artist working from home, having a portfolio website is crucial for bringing in new clients. Social media definitely plays a part, but it is not a sufficient replacement for a portfolio website, because having to post frequently can really stand in the way of curating a proper gallery that is a good representation of my work. And so as a solution, I've been using Squarespace for years in order to show my work to potential clients. The galleries are super easy to set up and organize, and it only takes minutes to update when I have something new. This website also serves as a main link hub that is super useful to anybody who is interested in my work, so they can easily find information on how to contact me, view my shop, my comic website, and social media channels that are not the ones they have found me through. So I highly recommend Squarespace if you're looking for a place to host your website. You can get started for free, and when you're ready to launch your brand new website, you can go to squarespace.com/cosmicspectrumart to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain. And now back to the video. This type of chaos is just freeing in a sense. And also when I was working on this, I figured that one of the reasons why it's so difficult to work on the comic production is because due to the way that I approach it, I can actually go very long periods of time without finishing any artwork, like without any completion, because, you know, I'll finish the storyboards, which typically takes like a fair amount of time, as it is basically like the first sketch. They're not very rough. Like the way that I do storyboards, it's not very rough. And then I have to do the secondary clean sketch, and then I have to ink, and then it just like, it starts to really drag because that can take like at least a couple of months. So I feel like that's part of the reason why it can be kind of difficult to get through the beginning stages of the process. Like once I'm at the point where I'm inking the comic pages, and from there I just have to, you know, get the flatter to do the flats for me, and then figure out the color scheme and all that. Like that tends to actually go pretty quickly because it's like things are already in motion and half of it is done and everything is kind of in place, and all I have to do is like just put in the work, and I have no problems doing that. It's usually starting something or like figuring out problems as they go. That's the kind of stuff that can take a lot more time. I digress. So yeah, it's been finally feeling like I'm slowly getting back into a much better routine. I knew that it wasn't going to be an overnight thing. Like, at least I'm not disappointed myself for not being able to like pull a switch and just suddenly get back to regular productivity. Like, I'm still struggling with some stuff, but overall it's gotten a lot better, thankfully. So there's that. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to working on this chapter. I've read it over like enough times that I just can't wait to finally have it in actual pictorial format. But yeah, so for this drawing, I didn't really plan much of it, like I mentioned, and one of the things that was kind of a happy remembering thing is or happy remembers, and I don't know, reminder, is that I can use a brush to do some really fun stuff with textures, and that's one of the things I really enjoyed in this one. I'm glad I remembered that I can do fur with a brush. Like, you'll see me do that a little bit later on in the video. But yeah, a couple of things I wanted to mention about the process here is, since this whole thing is just from imagination and I pretty much kind of figure it out as I go without really having anything super specific in mind, and I can't like create extra layers to change things and move things around, it can take a little bit longer to do the sketch. But once I get to a point where I'm relatively happy with it, I will sometimes erase an area. Oh, there it is. Yeah, that was like one of the worst ink drops because it's so dark. It was basically just black ink. So at first I was a little worried, but then, you know, I pulled out the trusty acrylic gouache, which pretty much covers everything and dries very quickly and does not revive with water. So it is the perfect thing to use to cover up these mistakes. Acrylic gouache. And also I had a little bottle of poster color paint, but it dried out completely because I actually haven't opened it in a few years, so that was unfortunate to discover, so I have to throw that away. But I will, yeah, thankfully I still had some white gouache. Anyways, so I was talking about the sketch. I sometimes will erase a small area just a little bit and then work over it again in pencil to just clean up the sketch and make it more legible, because back in the day I used to kind of lazily leave certain things, and when I get to the inks, like, I would end up with shapes that I wasn't 100% happy with. So it's nice that over the years I just kind of reduced the process with only doing very selective cleanup. So as you can see in this one, all I did that for was just the one hand, and then the rest of it went pretty smoothly without the need to elaborate much more on the details. I mean, it's like detailed enough already. At first, after I dropped the ink, I was like very concerned about using the pen again because I didn't want to deal with it again. So I did actually pull out my fine liner. So I used fine liners like here and there for a couple of things, but I ended up switching back to the nib within a couple of minutes, and it's fine. Basically, what I did to avoid the droplets is what I really should do all the time, is just give the pen a quick shake as soon as I dip it, or like I usually just brush the ink on. And that quick little shake will get rid of the drop that will otherwise end up on the drawing. So it's a very easy and quick thing to do. And I guess it's because I tend to take such long breaks from drawing traditionally that I completely forget these little cautionary like tips, and I have to just relearn them over and over again. So it is what it is. Yeah. I was making up most of the accessories, which is like one of the most fun parts of the process for me. At some point, I want to start a reference board and start hoarding reference pictures of unique accessories that I find when I shop online, because there's so many, and I feel like I end up drawing like the same thing over and over again with very slight variations most of the time. So I could stand to like look at new things now and again, probably. But yeah, these clothes that I keep getting bombarded with from Named Collective, I do want to order them at some point, maybe. Maybe not just yet, because they're a little bit more like summer clothes, I guess. I don't even know if I have the balls to wear stuff like this. At least not like the bikini top looking thing, but yeah, anyways. So my plan is essentially to spend the rest of this week trying to get as far as I can with the storyboards. I was really hoping to finish the storyboards by the end of October. I don't know if I will be able to do that, but at this point, man, I'm like not holding myself super accountable with my deadline setting, because as I've discovered over and over and over again, I'm not very good at it. And also, this year has just been all over the place, been tough, and I still have like a bunch of stuff going on right now where I don't know what's it gonna do to my mood and like how it's gonna affect my ability to be super productive. When I lose my ability to be super productive, I tend to just like switch to doing other things like cleaning the house and just, doing a bunch of useful procrastination, if that makes any sense. But yeah, at least this time maybe I'll just like switch over to trying to prepare myself for reopening the shop. So yeah, one thing that you may notice in this video is that, or actually for the last few videos, I kind of stopped using background music, and that's because I actually had some massive problems with that over the last year. So at the end of the day, I'm deciding to just like not even use it anymore, because it's not worth all the crap that I had to deal with. So for the longest time, I used Lo-Fi Girl tracks, because on the Lo-Fi Girl website, it explicitly said that they are free to use for YouTube videos and streaming and whatnot, as long as you credit the artist, which I always did, etc. And then, like, several months ago, I just started getting hit with copyright strikes on the music for one video after another. Like, it was so many, and my only option really was, because some of these videos were so old, I don't even, like, there's no way I would go back, edit the original file and like re-upload it. Like, that's obviously completely unfeasible. So the only option I really had was to either cut out the segments or just like use the AI tool or whatever, like let YouTube get rid of the background music while leaving my voice. And like, it's so bad. It's hilarious how bad this tool is, because it leaves such terrible quality, like all garbled up audio, and there's really nothing I can do about it at this point. At least, like, the one good thing is that thankfully it was only a couple of songs, or like sometimes it's just one song per video that got copyright struck. So it would just be like a couple of relatively short segments, but still it's like 2 minutes or 3 minutes in a couple of parts of videos that are like garbled and basically like terrible quality audio now. Sometimes it's the very beginning of the video, which is just ridiculous. So that's been quite frustrating to deal with, and there's unfortunately nothing I can do about it, because there's this one company that just started claiming all these songs, and yeah, there's absolutely, it's out of my hands. And one of the things that was so ridiculous that happened recently with my channel was somebody tried to copyright claim a segment from a literal ad for Skillshare that I did on actually like one of the more popular videos of mine from like a couple of years ago. It's absolutely bizarre. Like, in what world can you copyright claim a friggin' ad? Like, I don't even know how that makes any sense or how they were able to claim it. I did have to wait for like 2 or 3 weeks, but I think eventually a couple of days ago I saw that it was released, and I don't think they were able to claim it after all. But I don't know, it was just ridiculous to deal with, because like, who knows what's coming next. And like, one of the other issues that I had to deal with over the past couple of years with YouTube is that all of my Reference Wednesdays Studio Graffiti links got flagged, and I actually got a copyright strike. I got a strike on my channel, not copyright related, but anyways, so I wonder if this has anything to do with the fact that like my viewership diminished steadily as these things were happening. But I digress. So it seems like everything kind of worked out, and I'll just not use background music from now on. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the process of this sketchbook page, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Bye.